What's the cruelest prank you've ever seen? In high school, one of the cutest girls in my grade came up to me and told me she had a crush on me and wanted to go out on a date. I was skeptical because no one had ever asked me out before, but I was growing into my body pretty well and definitely more attractive than I was as an early teen. So I just figured puberty was doing some good work for me. We were 16 and had both just got our licenses, so she said she'd meet me at the movie theater and we'd go have dinner after the movie. I told my mom and she got all excited and helped me pick out an outfit and took pictures of me before my first ever date. I went and got a haircut and my car detailed so I'd be rolling fresh, And believe me, I was looking tasty. Fresh shave, hair edged up sharp enough to cut glass. I was dripped out before the phrase even existed. So I show up at the theater a couple minutes early, and I'm waiting for her. And after like 15 minutes, I think maybe I'll call her to make sure she didn't have an emergency come up or something. We didn't have texting back then. So I call her, and she answers on speakerphone. And like 5 other girls are all laughing at me saying things like, "Ha ha ha, he actually showed up." So yeah, it was all just a prank to hurt my feelings, jokes on me, I guess. Poor people who have dated rich people. What did you learn? My ex-wife had a grandfather that was a multi-millionaire. Christmas time at their house was like being in another world. All of the different family members would try to get a moment with the king and kiss as much as possible. I spent my time down on the ground playing with my kids and was happy to get out of there. About a week or two after the second Christmas, I got a phone call from Grandpa. He wanted to know what he could do for my family. I told him I didn't want any of his money, but I would like my kids to know their great-grandfather. Later that year, he showed up at our place unexpected and spent most of the afternoon telling stories with me about his youth. He set up a trust fund for each one of my kids to have their college paid for a little bit after that. He told me out of all of his in-laws, I was the only one that never asked him for anything but to be himself. What's something you're proud of but can't tell anybody you know? I've been losing weight, but it's hard to tell people. My dad has been a jerk about my weight ever since I was a kid. I wasn't even overweight, nor was I even close. My body type makes me muscular instead of thin like my other female relatives, but I was fine. Then cancer hit, and I gained about 70 pounds of chemo weight. I only have 25 pounds to go before I get back to my original weight of 168. Anyway, I'm proud of myself, and I've been trying really hard. I even gave up sugar, but I can't really talk to anyone about it, especially in my family. Everyone in my house is super fit, and they make a competition about everything, so my little victories wouldn't mean jack to them.
I worked in a high-needs behavior class. I got hit, punched, scratched, and spat on daily. But every day I went back and did my best for those kids. I was so battered and bruised that my husband wouldn't shop with me anymore because people would stare and sometimes even comment to him about his mistreating me. It was sickening, but I loved my job and every one of those kids. One day was called to the office to talk. It was Christmas time and things weren't great at home, and as anyone with kids knows, the holidays makes children especially high-strung, so things were also wild in the classroom. My boss said, "You seem awfully stressed." And I thought how nice of her to notice, so I agreed that yes, I was struggling. She said, "You have 6 weeks to sort it out or I'll have to let you go." I was crushed. It literally broke me. 6 weeks to get less stressed. How does that even work? I found myself just showing up to show up and I realized that wasn't fair for me or for the kids. 6 weeks later, I get a call back to the office. I am congratulated on the amazing turnaround and sent back to class. I was baffled. I was more upset and stressed than ever, and they congratulate me? More and more I showed up to work just for the paycheck. One day I just decided screw it. I wasn't a teacher anymore, I was a robot fearful of showing any negativity. I quit that week, never went back to teaching.
What's the worst thing you ever did as a horny teenager? Me and my girlfriend were doing it so hard that we destroyed the bed. Would be making love to my then girlfriend, now wife, and her mom and stepdad's house. I spent the night there. They let me sleep in the bed with her but told us no fooling around with each other. I was 18 or 19 at the time. She was 16. She lived with me at my mother's and father's house. Anyways, she had one of those beds that were metal and had those metal rods that needed screws at the top, and bottom bed was loud. Squeaky as freak. Anyways, we started doing the deed. Her stepdad was at work, but her mother was home sleeping. We get almost done with intercourse. Bed fell apart. The bed was made out of aluminum and she had hardwood floors. So needless to say, when the bed fell apart, you heard about 20 or 30 bars falling on the floor. Her mom woke up and came in the room. I'm there on the bottom at full mast while the wife is on top, but ass naked in the process of getting off me. Her mom laughed and said, "Yep, we loosened up the screws and bolts."